Hi guys, so in this video I'm going to be talking about my top favourite 15 movies from the year 2001. These are all in accordance with the release dates from IMDb, and again there's no real right or wrong to this list. These are just my top personal favourite movies from 2001. So you may see my honourable mentions and think, well, why didn't that make your top 15? It's just that my top 15 were just movies that I enjoyed a hell of a lot more. Now, the ones in my honourable mentions, there are some really, really good, critically acclaimed movies in that list. But as I just said, there were just 15 movies that I enjoyed really, really more. So, that being said, I'm going to get straight in with the honourable mentions list and kick it off with Spirited Away. Yeah, didn't quite make the list for me. Wonderful, wonderful animated movie, but I just thought it was too abstract for me. But that's not to take away from the film. I completely see why this one is regarded as highly as it is. It is a fantastic animated movie. Next honourable mention for me is Ghost World. This is just a great teen movie, this, with Scarlett Johansson. K-Pax, wonderful sort of psychological sci-fi movie with Kevin Spacey and Jeff Bridges. Rockstar with Mark Wahlberg and Jennifer Aniston. Quite underrated in my opinion. AI by Steven Spielberg. I never really get into this movie. It's wonderful to look at with the aesthetics, but yeah, I can't really get on board with that film. Same again with this one, Moulin Rouge. It's wonderful to look at, but I can't really get on board with it. Zoolander, starring and directed Ben Stiller. Yeah, one of my favourite comedies from 2001. Crazy Beautiful with Kirsten Dunst. Yeah, just another great little underrated drama type movie. Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. This is the first Kevin Smith movie I saw. I thought it was quite funny, but it doesn't really hold up that much now. Legally Blonde, Reese Witherspoon. Yeah, just a fun comedy movie. I remember watching this for the first time at school. Serendipity, great rom-com. Probably one of the best from the early 2000s with Kate Beckinsale and John Cusack. Monsters Ball, really difficult watch this one, but it's got some fantastic performances in it by Billy Bob Thornton, Halle Berry, Heath Ledger. Oh, this is another one that's going to get me a lot of hate because it's not on my main list. Amelie. Yeah, it's a wonderfully made film, but again, I just enjoyed certain movies a hell of a lot more than this one. It is a great film, but not one of my favourites. Next up is Bridget Jones's Diary. We've got the trilogy here. First one's good, second one's dire, third one's alright. Iris. Great drama film, this, with Judi Dench, Jim Broadbent, and Kate Winslet in sort of an early role for Hugh Bonneville as well. Richard Linklater's Tape. This was just a wonderful, tense film. Pretty much takes place in... the whole film takes place pretty much in this motel room. Wonderful, wonderful dialogue in it, though. I Am Sam, Sean Penn, Michelle Pfeiffer. Just a great drama film. This one's really underrated. Frailty, with Matthew McConaughey, Bill Paxton, and the late great Bill Paxton and the late great Powers Booth. Yeah, this was just a wonderful sort of religious thriller in a way. But I really enjoyed that one. One Night at McCool's, really good underrated comedy, this, with John Goodman, Matt Dillon, and Liv Tyler. Underrated Coen Brothers movie, The Man Who Wasn't There, with Billy Bob Thornton. Shot in black and white. Wonderful cinematography in this film, and really, really sort of got creepy vibes to it. And my last honourable mention is From Hell with Johnny Depp and Heather Graham. Pretty much this really good Jack the Ripper movie. So, that being said, I'm going to get straight into the top 15 now. Kick it off at number 15 for me. and that is A Beautiful Mind, directed by Ron Howard, starring Russell Crowe. 2 Best Pictures winners now on the bounce to star Russell Crowe, the previous one being Gladiator. But this was a great movie. It's about this sort of wonderfully minded mathematician, really smart guy that Russell Crowe plays, and he sort of gets caught up at university and he's with this conspiracy theory, and it's just really is a really good, riveting movie. And I just thought it was fantastic, well worthy of the Best Picture Oscar, in my opinion. Next up for me is probably a film most people would have higher, and that is Training Day with Denzel Washington and Ethan Hawke. Great crime movie. I didn't really like this film the first time I saw it. I think I was too young and it just went over my head, but rewatching it for a second time, it really sort of riveted me, particularly that scene in the bathtub in the shower. If you've seen it, you know what I'm on about, but Denzel Washington's man on fire in this movie, no pun intended, but yeah, it is really good. So coming up next for me at number 13 is Blow, with Johnny Depp and Penelope Cruz. This is like a sort of precursor to Wolf of Wall Street, in my opinion. I've never ever seen so much money in a movie before. Just pretty much cartons and cartons of cash. But yeah, it's pretty much about the rise and fall of this drug dealer and drug smuggler. Got some really good creepy scenes in it as well. Ray Liotta as his father in it is superb. I really dug this movie. At number 12 for me is probably one of my favourite comedies ever. That is Rat Race. Absolutely stellar cast in this movie. Now, the start and the end of this film are garbage, in my opinion. Particularly the end. It's one of the worst endings to a movie ever, in my opinion. Particularly with that band Smash Mouth, who I fucking hate. But yeah, the middle bit of the movie, the main chunk, the race itself, is hysterical. It's just off the charts funny. It has me absolutely howling every time I watch it. The cast in it as well: John Lovitz, Rowan Atkinson, Amy Smart, Seth Green, John Cleese, Wayne Knight, Cuba Gooding Jr., Whoopi Goldberg. It's jam-packed full of these great characters, and the premise is basically you've been told that there's a sack of $2 million, and the first one to get it gets to keep it. And that is basically the premise of the movie, and the low levels all these people will sink to just get one over on each other is just absolutely hysterical and funny. But as I said, the start's weak, the end of it's absolutely garbage, but the middle bit is just absolutely superb. My next film at number 11 is David Lynch's Mulholland Drive. This again is just a really weird movie. When is a David Lynch movie not weird, to be fair? But yeah, this movie just absolutely riveted me and had me hooked. It's a great Hollywood movie. Great drama. Got quite some provocative, sexy scenes in it as well. But for me, this is a movie that has one of the best jump scares ever. The build up to it is so good. It's like, you know that you've got a feeling there could be a jump scare coming with it, and when it happens, you're still scared shitless. You're always just wondering what is behind that corner. But yeah, it's absolutely great, this movie, and I can't recommend it enough. So coming up next to me at number 10 is Lagaan, Once Upon a Time in India. Now, this is probably one of my favourite Bollywood movies ever. It's just so good. There's some real high stakes in this movie. It's got a really lengthy run time. It comes in close to about 4 hours. The main premise of the movie is there's this small little village in India, and they have to pay a tax each year, which is called the Lagaan. Now they pay it to this sort of this British district that sort of rules this land in India, and what they say is that they come to like a bit of a head with them, and what the English say to them is, right, if you can beat us at cricket, we will cancel the Lagaan for about 3 years. But if we lose and if we win and beat you, you have to pay 3 times the amount. So there's just some real stakes in there. I know it sounds probably wrong because I know cricket isn't everyone's sport, but the movie doesn't focus on cricket. It focuses on this group of Indians who live in this village who have never played cricket before in their lives, and it's just like an alien sport to them, you know, against semi-professionals who play it as a hobby. But it's the stakes and the characters in the movie that absolutely make it. It's a Bollywood movie, of course. It's got the musical stuff in there as well. But I won't dare spoil what happens. But it is a fantastic movie, and it is definitely worth a watch at least once. I've seen it twice now, and I absolutely loved it both times I watched it. And just got some superb scenery and superb acting in it as well. So, coming up next for me at number 9 is The Others with Nicole Kidman. This was just a great, creepy horror movie. Doesn't go too over the top with the horror. It's a bit of a shame with this movie because it came out a couple of years after The Sixth Sense, and I think it sort of lives in the shadow of that movie. It's basically set in the olden days, and Nicole Kidman and her kids are living in this house, and they think it's haunted, and they're just trying to get rid of the spirits in this house, and that's all I'm really going to say about it. It leads to just some creepy imagery, and there's a twist at the end which I did not see coming. Pretty much similar to The Sixth Sense. I think the twist overshadows the movie itself. I won't spoil it, but it was very satisfying and very unique and very fresh in my opinion. It was great to see a movie do this. But yeah, it's definitely worth checking out. So, coming up next for me at number 8 is Wes Anderson's The Royal Tenenbaums. Yeah, great cast in this movie. Ben Stiller, Owen Wilson, Gene Hackman, Danny Glover, Gwyneth Paltrow, Bill Murray, Angelica Houston, and Luke Wilson. It's just pretty much this dysfunctional family. That is the movie, and it has all the Wes Anderson idioms, all the shots of symmetry. It's just a wonderful film, and what makes it is the characters. Just absolutely superb film. I can't really say much more than that really about it. One, I didn't really enjoy the first time I saw it, but on second viewing, it really impressed me a hell of a lot more. So, coming up next for me at number 7 is probably a film not too many people have heard of or have seen, and that is In the Bedroom with Marissa Tomei and Tom Wilkinson. This film, in my opinion, is one of those underrated early 2000 movies that probably went under a lot of people's radar. It follows sort of Marissa Tomei, who's formed a new relationship with a bit of a younger man, and her husband's still in prison, but he gets released, and it leads to this really violent coming of heads, shall we say, which takes place. And the movie just sort of turns into this a bit of a revenge thriller. I won't say much more than that because I think to get into it will be to spoil it. But it is an absolutely superb film. If you can find it, definitely check it out. It's definitely worth a watch at least once. And I just thought it was absolutely fantastic. So coming up next for me at number 6 is Ocean's 11. Another stellar cast, this movie. Matt Dillon, Brad Pitt, Don Cheadle, Julia Roberts, and George Clooney. Elliot Gould in this as well is just absolutely hysterical. This was just a great heist movie. I didn't enjoy it the first time I saw it. I know I'm sounding like a broken record saying that. But yeah, this really, really impressed me the second time I watched it. The heist stories, particularly that sequence about the 3 robberies that take place in Las Vegas. It just really, really impressed me a hell of a lot more, and I enjoyed it a hell of a lot more. Andy Garcia's in this as well. It's really, really good. Really, really good stuff. I know Don Cheadle's accent's very questionable, but yeah, it never really bothered me. Yeah, just one of the best heist movies of the 2000s. So, next for me at number 5 is Enemy at the Gate. Jude Law, Joseph Fiennes, Bob Hoskins, Ed Harris, Rachel Weisz. I just thought this was an absolutely well-acted movie and a fantastic war movie as well. Just absolutely superb. Some riveting scenes in this film. Just absolutely fantastic. I don't really want to say much more than that because it's one where it feels more of an experience, this film, just to sit down and get into it. And I can't recommend it enough. That's why it's number 5. I was just hooked by this film. Just thought it was absolutely brilliant. So, coming in at number 4 for me, it's Pixar's Monsters, Inc. Yeah, just absolutely love this film. It's just so innocent and so much fun. Pretty much is about a working system of monsters who go into child's bedrooms and scare them and use the screams as electricity to power their world, basically. And of course, one thing goes wrong. The monsters all believe that children are toxic, and if a child touches you, you can die. And one child obviously breaks into the monster world, and it just leads to absolute havoc, chaos, and pandemonium. John Goodman and Billy Crystal are so great as Sully and Mike. This is one of Pixar's best looking films as well, for you being such an early Pixar movie. The colours in this film just absolutely pop, and it just looks so great. The creative designs of the monsters themselves are just absolutely wonderful to look at. Just so creative. Great voice cast, great story, great twist ending as well, I will say, when they find a new source of electricity that I just didn't see coming. But yeah, it's just a fun film. So, my number 3 pick for 2001 is Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Now, you either love or you hate Harry Potter. I massively enjoy it. I think it's a good series and a good book series. I think the last book is probably the weakest. I just think it feels very rushed. But for me, this was a very, very good adaptation of the book. It's not my favourite adaptation. I think that probably goes to Hallows Part 1 for me. But yeah, this was a phenomenon when it came out, and I'm old enough to remember going to the cinema to see it for the first time. The story is, if you're a Harry Potter fan, you know it. It's about an orphan whose parents were killed. He's raised by his aunt and uncle, who are, those people are just ass. And then he finds out that when he comes of age, at the age of 11 or 12, I believe it is, he becomes... Well, he doesn't become, but he's told he's a wizard. And he's just introduced to a whole new world, and we're introduced to that world with him. Bit of a fish-out story, but... Yeah, it's one of the best. You are absolutely riveted by this world that we go into and the characters in it. The adults in this movie have always been the interesting part to me, rather than the kids. It's a fantastic cast. Richard Harris, Alan Rickman, Maggie Smith, Robbie Coltrane. It's so good, and a great Christopher Columbus film as well. It's a shame he didn't direct more, because the problem I have with the Harry Potter series is the films directed by different directors are so painfully evident, and you feel it. It doesn't have that flow of tone, the series as a whole. It's like if someone said to you, right, here's the first Harry Potter book, make it a film. And if you said to someone else, here's the first Harry Potter book, make it a film, you'd have two completely different films telling the same story. And it just doesn't, the flow just doesn't fit with the rest of the series for me. Not to take away that it's not saying that they're bad films by any means. All the films in the Harry Potter series to me are great. It's just because they're directed by different people, each one sort of has its own different stamp, you know. And David Yates, who pretty much directed the majority of the films, you can tell that they're his movies, the last four. But yeah, the first one is such a great watch. The acting by the child actors is a little bit hokey because when you compare to the later films, but it's their first film. I mean, I think some of these kids, it was their first main job as an actor. But yeah, as I said, it's a ton of fun and it's a great kids movie. So my number 2 pick is Donnie Darko. Great cast. I believe this was a movie that was pretty much hated when it first came out. No one really got it. There's loads of theories and speculations about the film as to what the film is actually about and what's really going on. I can't really talk about it that much. It's not a film I enjoyed the first time I saw it, but it has massively, massively grown on me and won me over. The cast in this is absolutely stellar. Maggie and Jake Gyllenhaal, Patrick Swayze, Mary McDonald, Drew Barrymore. Yeah, I absolutely love it and find it so creepy. And the ending is just so strange and surreal. The use of that song Mad World, which I prefer the Tears for Fears version, but this version does fit with this movie. And yeah, I just think this movie is absolutely great. It makes for such a good rewatch as well. My favourite scene in it is the conversation about the Smurfs. That is just absolutely hysterical. I won't dare go into it or dare spoil it. Just check the movie out for yourself. I can't recommend it enough. So, my number 1 pick from 2001 is Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. This is Peter Jackson's first of his trilogy. That was just an absolute fantasy masterpiece. I grew up watching the Bashki cartoon, and pretty much is very, very similar in terms of story. Obviously, it's based on the same book by Tolkien. But yeah, this is a fantastic fantasy movie. The best fantasy movie trilogy, in my opinion. One of the best trilogies ever. Epic, using the word epic to describe it is very, very... is a very big understatement. It's just epic in every sense of the word. Great adventure film, great fantasy movie. It pretty much follows the story of Frodo, who's been entrusted with this ring that basically stores all the evil and all the malice of this evil ruler called Sauron. And he's basically given the task to take the ring to Mordor where it was made and destroy it. And again, it's the characters on the way that we really, really love. You know, Viggo Mortensen's Aragorn, Sean Bean's Boromir, Orlando Bloom's Legolas, John Rhys Davies' Gimli, Ian McKellen's Gandalf. We just love all these characters. You know, they're all different species, and they come together to unite to try and destroy this ring and go on this quest. And it's just absolutely fantastic. Some of the best battle sequences, some of the best fight sequences we've seen in movies ever. Great use of CGI and practical effects. Just absolutely wonderful, wonderful film. Ends on a bit of a downer, this one. And it just makes you want to watch The Two Towers straight away. But yeah, I can't really say much more than that. It's an absolutely superb film, and just one of Peter Jackson's best. And that's why it's my number 1. I remember seeing it at the cinema as well when it came out, and it's a series I watch pretty much. Try to watch every Christmas. I don't know how anyone else feels about that, but because the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit movies came out at Christmas, they just make for that festive viewing. So yeah, those are my top favourite 15 movies from 2001. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope I've not upset too many people with my choices, but hey ho, it's my list, and that's why it's subjective, and we can't all have the same opinions, because the world would be a boring place if we all loved the same films in the same order. So yeah, I'm just going to say thanks very much for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe and comment down below. Did I miss anything? Put your lists down. I'll be really interested to find out other people's opinions and other people's takes on movies and what movies meant to you. So yeah, thanks very much for watching, and stay safe and take care.